Welcome to the InfoMullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the InfoMullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. One of the big media literacy studies I've wanted to do is on hydroxychloroquine, which is obviously very much in the news because it's been prominently featured by President Trump and a lot of his supporters. It's got a lot of exposure, and it's created a lot of confusion as to how do we evaluate this. And I'm not trying to say this is right or this is wrong, but give you some information and tools that can help you objectively approach this question. People are interested right now because they're scared of how do I prevent myself from getting coronavirus? That's called a prophylactic. How do I prevent getting infected with the virus? The second is, if I get infected, how do I mitigate the results? How do I get treatment? How do I make sure I'm not a case that goes severe, critical, or dies? So prophylactic and treatment, those two things are very, very different. The first thing with hydroxychloroquine, it's a hard word to pronounce. The first thing is it's a hard word to pronounce. The first thing to understand with this is if you get this this medicine thinking that it will prevent you from getting coronavirus, there's absolutely zero discussion, even among the big supporters of this, that it can actually do that. The first was a study that was done in France in a laboratory environment in a petri dish with extracted cells. It's not inside you as a human. Even though it shows promise exploratory, just because it was done in a lab doesn't mean it's going to work the same in your body. Your body is an extremely complex system. The second two studies that are cited are one from China and one from France, and both have no random control. Why is random control important? Well, we know, let's say on average, that 95% of the people who get infected with coronavirus get better, right? That's the WHO statistic, or 96, whatever you want to say. There's a percentage that will survive or get better. That means if I gave a bunch of patients extra crispy KFC and they got better, I could say, well, look, I gave them the extra crispy KFC and they got better. That doesn't mean that the KFC chicken, as good and delicious as it is, obviously, was the cause of them getting better. This is very dangerous when you have a lot of people running around looking for hopeful signs that they mistake correlation with causation. And in this case, when a lot of the cases are going to get better anyways, you need to have a randomly controlled trial where some people get the medicine, others get a placebo, and the self-similarity between those patients to age, condition, demographics, point of the infection when they got the treatment is controlled, so that the only difference is that one got the treatment and the other didn't. Now, there was a fourth study that did come out in France, and it had randomly controlled trials, and it did show that there was some benefits of hydroxychloroquine in mild cases, but it's not really clear that it's going to be beneficial in these more severe cases. And that was only 62 people. A normal high power study of this kind with an RCT, a random control trial, might be hundreds or thousands of people. Now, one of those has started in April. It just started in April 2nd, though, in the United States. So it's going to be a while before we get information about the efficacy of this. The reason why individual doctors may be prescribing it is because they know their patients very well. This is the important part of hydrochloroquine. I mean, it's been used in malaria, it's been used in lupus, so it's well known. And when people say it's perfectly fine to take, that is not correct. If you take it within the conditions that it is prescribed, it is generally safe. But some of those conditions are that it has known complications with a whole list of medicines, right? Additionally, it's not advised for people who have certain underlying conditions, and those underlying conditions actually replicate the end stages of COVID-19. That's the part where we really need to know if this is going to work when it's severe and critical, because the cases where hydrochloroquine has the most complications may imitate the conditions where in COVID-19 organs begin to fail, the body goes into stress, it's in shock. That may be a very dangerous situation to when we're applying this medicine. Now, if this presented no harm in the system other than to the person who put it in their body, there might be a valid argument of, well, they're taking the risk on themselves, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. It's ethically muddy in healthcare to begin with because the information is so complex. But with all these miracle cures that are being touted, the real harm comes from the people who use these medications every day to treat their existing ailments. And hydrochloroquine is used to treat lupus and certain types of rheumatoid arthritis. And we've seen this over and again. This is not the first miracle drug that's been touted. Actually, when I was looking at this in January, even as mid-January, as early as mid-January in China, there was an HIV cocktail that patients who were diagnosed with HIV were taking for sustainment purposes. That cocktail got attributed to being a miracle cure or prophylactic or preventative for COVID-19, and immediately there was a run on the supplies. And what that does is it raises the price and reduces access to the people who need it. So as people are going out and buying hydrochloroquine, not only they may be incurring a risk for themselves if they're not consulting with a doctor for something that has no proven efficacy, they're definitely creating harm for the people who we know need it to treat their existing systems. So again, I think we should test everything, but we need to be careful of overemphasizing some treatments over others. And we're already seeing the political pressure for hydrochloroquine, however you pronounce it. I don't know. Maybe Bonky knows. He probably pronounces it right if he spoke. You're seeing the pressure come down, and the fear is it's going to leap ahead of other treatments and get priority testing. I mean, we've already stockpiled 29 million doses. And it has to be clear, there is a financial incentive for some of the advisors around the president, and it's been alleged for the president themselves that he owns stock in a company that makes this. I'm not saying the president is being bribed for this, but I'm not so sure that the advisors who are giving him information around him aren't being motivated by financial incentive. And that is a really dangerous combination when you talk about something of an untested, unproven cure. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the InfoMullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a mulleteer and support the InfoMullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.